So, welcome everybody again. Yeah, and today we have a question. Amy is here and she has a question for me. So,
Yes, thank you. My question is about listening and relationships reactivity. So, how, you talk about deep listening, and how can deep listening really help us in our relationships, maybe when reactivity is present, or just in our relationships in general?
okay, how can deep listening help us in relating? When challenges are present, how can deep listening help us in general, right? In relating. You know, I would need to talk a little bit about deep listening and what it is, but also when what happens when challenges are present. What does it mean challenges are present? That means past is here, right? And when past is here, it usually takes over our little nervous system and brain. So even though we still retain somehow a little piece of thinking, the higher brain thinking, right? But most of the time when challenges are here, that means the instincts have taken over. So in that place, we are not really able to respond in a way that is really grounded in our true nature. We are not able to respond from a place of presence because the nervous system and the brain are taken over by the past that has arisen. So then deep listening, which, there's so many, which really is meditation, right? Or really is quiet. It really is attention inward towards our true nature, right? Deep listening. And also attention eventually towards what is arising, in a sense of we want to be able to notice when past arises. We want to be able to notice, ideally we are so deeply at rest here that when past arises, we are able to notice that, or at least when we have engaged in the past, we are able to notice that. So deep listening really therefore begins here, right? It doesn't begin relationally, it begins listening deeply to your own experience. And really deeply, the willingness to come back to rest, and also the willingness to notice what is present. Then the moment we become relational, that is the challenge of it, is that no matter what, when you are by yourself, it's very different, right? When you become relational, patterns arise that were not visible before. These patterns are connected to our early conditioning or some other patterns that already brought us here, but they are not visible when you are alone by yourself. So relationship is going to bring that out. So that's usually the bigger part of the challenge, is that eventually when we relate, these patterns are going to show up. It's unavoidable. Yeah. And then, that's why, when we talk sometimes about, let's just kind of do like a relationship program or group, and I say, well, I will have to teach everybody first how to be inquired. Right? Because, the issues, we can't resolve them with each other. It's not resolvable here. It's resolvable in the way we are with what arises. And the deep listening can only really happen relationally when we are at rest. Because if we learn this as a new habit and we say, okay, now I'm going to just deeply listen to my partner, then you will listen for a minute, 2 or 3, depending on how much capacity you have, and then you'll get triggered by what they are saying, and then you're going to be back in where it all started. Right? You're not going to be able to sustain that. Right?
Right.
And the reason you're not going to be able to sustain it is because it's not really coming from within. It's like a habit, right? It's like, okay, I'm just going to listen, right? No. Rather than I'm going to listen, I'm going to be here. Can I be here, and can I be in the reality of my experience? Can I be here in the awareness of my true nature, but can I also be here in the awareness of what's going on in the body mind? And because that's listening, you see, that's meditation, right? I'm in the awareness of what's actually really present. And when I'm here in the awareness, then you can know what's really present is freaking out. Or what's really present is, can't really do this right now, right?
Yeah.
So if you really know that, if you really see that, you're not going to engage relationally from here or from there. Because you're going to know, this is just not going to go anywhere. This is not possible. So that's where the choice is going to come from, right? The choice of knowing. But see, this is our conditioning, right? We all have past trauma and all sorts of things, and so we all have our conditioning here. And so on the one hand, we have the recognition of presence, and we want to translate that into relating. But on the other, we often don't have the capacity to just be here. Just be in the awareness of what is actually present. And then if we can allow that, that's where the, action comes from. I can't talk right now. This is just not going to go anywhere. I'm sorry, we just need to take a break. And then when and I'm really, because I'm not doing a shortcut right now, I'm just saying, oftentimes that's what it is. And then when I had the time, when you're anybody, we had the time to really come back to rest. Then I can come back and I can say, okay, let me hear you now. Let me listen to you. Because now I'm really available. Why am I available? Because I'm really here. And I have been with what is here. And I have allowed this to come to rest. When I say, I mean, it just, the inquiry happened and there is peace. And now I can come and say, okay, tell me, what's going on? Let me listen to you. Then I can hear you. And it goes both ways though, because it's a relationship. And so, the other, if they are caught in their own, oh my God, what's going on? Or their nervous system is in activation and their nervous system is struggling with what's happening, I really don't know that they have much to say anyway, too. I don't know that from that place we can really have a conversation. There really is going to be just a perpetuation of that, perpetuation of the past, I think this and you think that and I know that and I think we should be doing, and it's like it doesn't really give us anything, right? It doesn't really bring us anything. So in that sense, deep listening begins, can I be here? And if being here is too much right now, can I just remove myself from the situation? Even for a moment, because that's what matters. Where am I going to come from if I can't be here? What is this going to be? This interaction. And I'm only saying that in terms of challenge, because that's just what you said when it's challenge. Because when it's no challenge, hey, it's great. It's not problem.
Yeah.
Good, Amy. So what do you think?
I appreciate that. And I appreciate the distinction between, or really noticing inside, that challenge and where we are inside of ourselves through the deep listening in ourselves. I mean, listening, we often think of listening to others, but real deep listening and listening that's helpful to others is going to start inside of us. And when we can't be here, if we don't want to perpetuate the past, then really tuning in through deep listening and getting space when it's needed, or pausing the conversation so that we can come to rest here in presence and come from there in our relating. And it may take time. It always takes time, but it's helpful. Yeah, everything you said was helpful, and I liked that clarity between, if I don't want to perpetuate the past, then deeply listening to myself is going to be integral, and doing something different, not just rolling with it.
Right. Beautiful. Because initially the relationship, whenever we are in that expanded state and everything is okay, and we are just in love, and open, and everything goes, and eventually sooner or later in every relationship the issues are going to come up, and many relationships get stuck in that place, never go past it. There's always just perpetuation going on. Right? But to go past it, so much of that kind of deep listening is necessary to really see what's really happening.
Yes, and it's totally different from, the silent treatment that people have received. It's a totally different action from that, and being able to speak to that in those moments with someone where it's frustrating. And I'm thinking, with my kids I've said to them, sometimes I just get to a point where I need to stop and be able to get to a calmer, more grounded place inside myself. But I can feel, that residue of the silent treatment that I've received and heard about, all my life. And this is just very different. It's very different. And it's very honoring of both people, or all people in the engagement. And I really appreciate that too.
Yeah, and then there's communication in that. It's not just cutting it off. It's just, this is where it's at. This is what's happening. Let's just take some time. I can't say anything about it right now. Let me just take some time. Let me come back and tell you later, right? So there's not this cutting off, like, I don't want to talk to you, but it's just, there's nowhere to come from. Like, there's nothing here. So.
Yeah, it's honest. And it's honorable at the same time. So I like that.
Good, beautiful. So I hope that answers a little bit of your question about listening and relating.
It does. Thank you very much for elaborating on that for me and anyone else.
Lovely. Good, Amy. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Take care. Take care.